What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Yamcast. After a month-long hiatus, it would seem. I was out in California. Spite was battling the elements, bringing a Pan Am back here to the shop from California. It's been a bit of a crazy time, but we're back. The Yamcast is back. I know the diehard fans, you'll love to see it. We are here for you. This is episode 82. We are approaching Yamcast 100. We're going to definitely do something special for Yamcast 100.
It's the centennial.
It's the centennial. We got to do something special. So, news for this week, we are talking Suzuki. There's so much to talk about Suzuki. So much has happened in the last month here over on Yami Newbin and Motorcycling World. We got a lot to talk to about Suzuki. A couple bits of GP news as well. There's some other stuff too. We got to do it to you. And then we also have news from Harley, because of course we do. But it's a bit of a different Harley news, because it's actually that other company that Harley used to own called Livewire. News from them. And we are also going to be doing our DM portion of our podcast. For this week, we're actually doing a live section for It Came From Discord. We're going to have our boys send us in their bikes. We're going to roast them, talk about them, have a bunch of fun. And then at the end of this podcast, we're doing a comment roast. Going to be looking at some YouTube comments, roast them, having some fun. Stick around. It is going to be a good one. All right, Spite, there is a lot of Suzuki news to cover, and the big news is, even though they haven't officially confirmed it technically, they're out of GP.
Which is crazy, came out of nowhere, surprised the riders, surprised Dorna.
Yes.
Surprised everybody.
Yeah, I believe the word on the rumor mill was that Joanne Mir and Rins were ready to just re-sign.
Yes.
And then they were like, just kidding, there's no more team. Really unprofessional, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So this is huge news. Suzuki was technically committed to ride in GP, to have a team in GP.
Like 5 years.
For 5 more years, I think 5 years total. But these contracts, you can be bought out. You can do whatever you need to. I would love to have been in the room whenever they were like, yeah, we're not going to do it. They're like, okay, you owe us 50 million euros now because our series is now way worse because you're not in it, you know? Mm-hmm. So this is just massive news. Basically, what's going to happen now is all of the people who worked in that team, both for Rins and for Mir, they have to find new jobs. Mir and Rins, we're being totally honest, they're going to find a ride somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mir is literally a world champion. Rins is a multi-time race winner. These are not kind of back-of-the-grid talents that people are going to source for. These are honestly talents that people may drop their premier riders in their current rosters to get. I'm looking at KTM, looking at some Ducati satellite teams. I wouldn't be surprised. Jack's rumored to go to KTM. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
But this blew my mind. Like, I didn't believe it at first.
Oh yeah, this was when I heard about it. I was like, whoa, no way. I was like, oh, you know, like that's crazy.
Because it literally comes 2 years after Suzuki won a world title with Mir. This year, Mir and Rins have either been 3-4 or like
4-5. Yeah, always top 6.
They're so close. The bike is really competitive. The package is working really well, and to the point where people were like, well, "Frickin' Rins, dude, he might be a contender."
Yeah, but you haven't seen a couple of the races that have happened, because now it's completely. I'm not going to give it away for you, but it's completely disintegrating.
Oh yeah, no, I imagine that.
My God,
like, because nobody cares at Suzuki anymore. There's no point.
There's no future.
Yeah. Like, why would the racers want to push for a team that doesn't have their back anyway?
No, they wouldn't. And this is, like I said, it's just going to have ripple effects throughout the paddock like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. The rider market right now is absolutely nuts. With 2 guys like Mir and Rins on the market, you've effectively made everyone's salaries lower because the supply is so crazy now. Like, you've just inputted 2 superstar riders, and it's like, well, okay. What do we do now? Fabio's just like totally locked into Yamaha now. There's no more option whatsoever.
I could have seen him probably doing okay on the Suzuki.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been too bad, but now Yamaha's the only inline 4 bike on the grid, especially so because the RNF team that was Yamaha's satellite squad is now Aprilia too. So the Yamaha, literally the 2 factory Yamahas, are the only inline 4 bikes on that entire grid.
And it's soon to be like they're going to do something with Frankie, because apparently Lynn is pissed at Frankie.
Because Frankie, dude, Darren Binder finished in front of Frankie one of these races.
Yeah, that's no good.
That's not good. You don't want the rookie guy who everyone was like, this guy doesn't deserve to be on GP, to beating your factory rider. Frankie's in definite trouble. And it's interesting because he talks about it in such strong terms. He's like, no, I have a contract with Yamaha and I'm riding next year. I'm like, I don't know if you're riding next year, bro. Like, contracts, they can be bought out. There's clauses to get you out of there. Like,
dude, imagine like if some freaking backwards world like Mir goes to Yamaha.
wow, yeah, that'd be wild. That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because from my understanding, Mir and Rins, Mir doesn't get along with like anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be great friends with anybody from what I've seen.
Yeah.
He's a very business forward kind of guy, you know, like he gets in, does his job, gets out. To me, that sounds like a Honda Repsol rider.
Yeah, it really does.
You know, and now, especially with other GP news as well, Marc Marquez is out for the rest of the season for his fourth arm surgery. Yeah, we got confirmation as well. I mean, again, it's been a crazy month, guys. It's been wild, but we got confirmation that Marc Marquez's humerus bone problems are worse than they thought. Bone is twisted. They have to re-break it. All new rehab procedures. A lot of people are saying, is this the end? Is this the end of the 93,
I think
throne?
Do you remember when he came back and won
Coda?
No, when he won Kimi. Or Saxon when
Ring.
he did Saxon Ring.
Yeah.
And he came back and he pointed to his arm and he was standing up on the bike and he had that like emotional thing in the paddock and he's like, everybody was like, this is the end of Marquez. He's like, no, I'm back.
Yeah.
The dude's a fighter, man. He's going to fight as hard as he can to ride that bike.
But everyone has limits, like.
And he said he got to the point where it was like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not here.
He said that if he didn't have this surgery on the table, that after this year he was going to retire.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
But I think if this surgery works, if he feels good, if he can get comfortable with the bike, he can start being competitive again. Again, I'm a Marquez fan. Like he's my guy. Mostly because I started watching GP because of Marc Marquez. Mm-hmm. I kept hearing the stories. I went and saw the races, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, this dude's like on a whole other level.
Yeah, he's next level for sure.
And so I want to see a big comeback story here. Mm. That's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I do also I realize that dude is messed up.
Yes. He's got the double vision. He's got the multiple arm surgeries. He was crashing his brains out on that bike. Yeah. There's only so much a human body can take, right? And so now it's wild, but we might see 4 new Honda riders next year on LCR squad and factory squad. There might be 4 new Honda guys.
So in a world where Marquez doesn't come back, who do you think is Repsol? Like, who do you think is the top?
Stefan Bratl, baby. No,
I think it's Pole and Mir Rins.
No, I think Pole's got to go. I
think so too.
I think Repsol's going to be like, no, Pole, you've had 12 years in GP and you've never won a race. Time for you to go off into the sunset. I don't think they'll give him a chance.
No.
KTM might take a punt on Pole, but if Jack Miller's coming in, they're not going to get rid of Brad Binder. Brad Binder's their golden boy. They will not get rid of him.
Do you think they want to take Pole Spargro back after?
Maybe as a Tech 3 rider?
Imagine that freaking
from Repsol Honda to Tech 3 KTM. Makes your head spin.
Yeah.
I don't know where Pole would go, but I think Repsol Honda squad, maybe they take a punt on one of the Moto2 guys. Maybe in a crazy world, they don't even let Acosta go another year. They're just like, screw it, get Acosta in here. Let's see what he can do. Mm-hmm. Maybe. The 2 rookies in the Tech 3 squad have clearly said that they don't want to be there. Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez are like, this sucks. We used to win races in Moto2. Now we're back markers on this stupid KTM. We want to be on a real bike.
Yeah.
One of them might go to Honda. I don't know.
But do you think they'll go to Honda Repsol or LCR? Do you think they ditch Taka Nakagami?
Tak is gone for sure.
Yeah.
Tak is gone. There's a Moto2 rider called Ayogura who's Japanese, who is that spot is basically his.
Yeah.
On the Idemitsu team. And then Alex Marquez also, I think, gone. Somebody else is going to take that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think all 4 new Honda riders for sure.
crazy.
Yeah, and then no
crazy.
more satellite Yamaha, factory, Quartararo, and then maybe Frankie if he has a good manager who can retain his contract. But I don't know. I don't know.
And all of this like sudden turmoil because Suzuki's like, nah.
Yeah, all because Suzuki was like, nah, screw it. And we have more to talk about Suzuki, actually. We kind of derailed a little bit on our GP news here. But, I mean, Suzuki, speaking perfectly candidly here, do they even give a about motorcycling? No, they don't. For a lot of you out there who think that Suzuki deals primarily in Gixxer squids, Suzuki actually deals primarily in microcars in India and outboard motors.
Yes.
That's what they care about, and that's where the money is.
Yeah.
Suzuki does not really care about selling Gixxers because as we see this article here, it says Suzuki's revenue from car sales is 12.6 times its revenues from motorcycles and ATVs combined.
Yeah.
So when you have a 12.6 to 1 ratio, I mean, if I was running that business, I'd be like, why do we even make motorcycles?
Yeah.
Who gives a
And it's all this Swift, because this Swift is the number one selling car in India.
Yeah.
And if you're the number one selling car in India, you win.
You win. You won. That's it.
And, this is apparently natural gas. It burns methane.
Wow. That's amazing. Goes
Which is
straight from the
crazy.
cows right into the car.
Yeah, so it's the all these CNG powered microcars.
Yeah.
Which I had to Google, and that literally just is straight up methane.
Yeah.
Which them cars be stinky.
Yes. Now, this article is telling you something here that I really wanted to talk about as well. I'm going to read it right here. It says, the company expects to sell 2.7 million cars at significantly higher selling prices. You can argue whether winning in MotoGP helps to sell 125cc motorcycles in Asia, but it's hard to imagine that it helps sell CNG-powered microcars. And that is another big reason why I think Suzuki's pulled out of racing motorcycles kind of in general is it's no longer a race on Sunday, sell on Monday world.
Nope.
Superbikes aren't really selling. Consumer kind of preferences towards superbikes are definitely waning.
They're just too expensive for people nowadays.
They're too expensive, and people are kind of like, what am I even going to do with that thing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I think gone are the days of, like, the mid-2000s Gixxer Chad Squid being like, yeah, I'm going to buy a brand new Gixxer Thou! I think people are more level-headed now in a way where they're just like, well, what am I really going to do with this thing?
But also you got to remember those.
I got to work 3 jobs just to afford my life, like.
The mid-2000s leader bikes, they weren't pushing 200. They were pushing like 140.
Yeah.
And 140, still a lot of power.
But it's still kind of usable.
Yeah, you can have, and they were more relaxed in the ergonomics.
The new superbikes, they're just idiotic.
Yeah.
They're crazy. They have very little relevance for normal people.
Yeah. I mean, the freaking K6 still pulls like a goddamn animal.
It's so fast.
And we took the maps off of it. It's still the stock. We have it stock maps
It's stock
now.
and it still pulls.
It's crazy.
But then remember we had the Fireblade and it was just like, Jesus Christ, this thing is insane.
You literally needed to do a bump before you got on.
Yeah, that thing was nuts. And so I just feel like in this world where motorcycle sales don't really correlate with racing. Why would you? Because like at the end of the day, motorcycle racing is a line item in the marketing expense for a lot of these companies. I mean, Honda does it better than anybody, and they really kind of pride themselves on that pedigree, right? Where they're like, we're like really big into racing, big into racing, but I don't think it moves many units anymore.
No, and they're saying here, this is another thing that I was reminded of because I used to care a little bit more about boats when I was a little bit younger, and I did, I'd go fishing with my dad and stuff. Mm-hmm. Suzuki outboard motors, that's what they sell in the States.
Yeah,
is outboard motors to people with whalers.
Yep.
And they sell a ton of them.
Yep.
Because much like a Gixxer and a Suzuki outboard motor, you can basically shoot the thing and it'll still run.
Yeah.
From
what I understand, too, Suzuki has been hit with a very large emissions fine as well.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Some people are talking about that where they kind of think that they pulled from GP because they were like, oh, we owe like 40 million euro for some emissions scandal or whatever. How are we going to cover that? Well, this isn't making us any money. Chop.
Yeah.
It's a bummer because we see it and it's like this really cool, passionate, awesome thing. And it's like, oh, it couldn't go anywhere. But to these companies, especially Japanese companies, they don't give a fuck.
No, they really don't.
They don't give a They're just like, hey, this isn't making us money. F it. See ya. Bye. And their whole kind of way of going about this was pretty rough. It kind of was just like a memo, and then it wasn't really confirmed. Then it was kind of like an open secret, and then they still haven't really confirmed it. But then we have this other bit of news, right, where they kind of reaffirmed its commitment to the motorcycle market, right?
Yeah. So this was a letter to the dealers, not from Suzuki Japan. This is from the American arm. Are committed to power sports and the U.S. market. Goes on to say here, the decision has been made in light of talking about the GP decision, in light of changing market environment and the strategy to allocate resources to ensure the health and vibrancy of Suzuki's overall business. They also mention the alternative fuel technologies and carbon neutrality, sustainability here.
They put out a memo being like, listen, we've got 10 million K6 engines sitting on shelves in the warehouse. Suzuki will never die. we can make bold new graphics till the heat death of the universe.
Yeah.
We're good, guys. We're good.
But I think what that means is that Suzuki's probably just going to like sunset their motorcycling division.
Yeah.
Probably. They're probably just going to make Busas, the Gen 3 Busa till then.
Yeah, bro.
Forever. They'll just they maybe, who knows, they'll release the Stratospheres that are sitting in a parking lot somewhere in Japan.
They make a final edition Turbo Hayabusa and just call it a day.
Yep. The K6s, they're just gonna keep making the K6 motor over and over and over again.
Yeah.
DRZs, they'll be selling DRZs and DR200s forever.
Yeah. Honestly, this kind of thing with Suzuki of it kind of just like sunsetting and trickling. You know, along with some of the developments that have happened in MotoGP of Suzuki leaving, and it kind of feels like a spec series, and the racing isn't quite as good, and Marquez is leaving, I just get like this groundswell of feeling of like, dude, like, is motorcycling okay? You know what I mean? Like, what the f*** is happening? If it kind of feels like, all this, we have the next bit of news, the electric bikes and stuff. I feel like, you know, for lack of a better term, there is a vibe shift.
But,
you know,
like, you think about that, though, but there's still so many bikes that, like, still go try to find a goddamn Tenere.
I understand. Yeah, for sure. Like, some very niche markets of motorcycles are blowing up, but I feel like the motorcycling that kind of we've known is changing and really morphing before our eyes.
You know what will never die?
What?
The freaking Harleys. The M8 Harleys will never die.
Until their clients all literally die. And then there's no more to sell them to. And they got to give them away like the R18 we saw on Discord where they have it discounted like $8,000.
That was nuts.
I've seen, Eurocycle's pretty replete with those in their inventory. They've got like 50 of them or something.
BMW,
nobody's buying them, dude.
They were like, oh, we're coming for the street glide. We're coming for the heritage.
It's not going to work.
And then they released it, and it was just the sound of a pigeon hitting a window.
I feel like Honda watched BMW try this, and they're like, oh, sweet summer child. We tried this so many times. It never works. Give it up. Give it up.
The only thing that the Beamer has is rock and roll mode.
God, I forgot about that. Oh, that was so cringe. Oh, God. Well, moving on, we kind of touched upon Harley. This Livewire Del Mar.
This is awesome.
This is kind of crazy.
So, first of all, the headline here, it sold out in less than 20 minutes.
How many units is that? Do you know?
Let's see here. I'm going to do a quick Control F. The LE was 100 units claimed already. This was the LE special.
Okay, so all those 100 were claimed in 20 minutes. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful,
and
yeah.
This is what's making me excited about this. The specs on this are really cool. Mm-hmm. So 80 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5, less than 440. So it's
love the weight.
That's a good set of numbers. The price, though, the LE is the 17,699. They want the MSRP to be like around $15,000 and under.
Yeah,
they're really trying to get this to be affordable.
Yeah.
You know, if they could get it to be like 13 grand, dude.
Wow. I mean, wow. For sure, wow. When you consider that the first Livewire was 30 Gs, to be down half the price to something kind of comparable, that's impressive, you know?
Yeah.
Very impressive. And what's cool is if you scroll up here, I don't know if we have it in picture-in-picture mode, by the way. Oh, we do. Okay, great. If you scroll up, I just want to look at the bike. It's a cool looking motorcycle. It's got that flat tracker look.
I think there's some more
battery
photos.
pack. Yeah, the battery pack is really stylish and like it kind of is. It's not trying to be a traditional motorcycle. It's really leaning into the electric thing.
Yeah,
it's got that long wheelbase, flat track tires. It looks cool. You know, it looks cool.
I think that this is the sort of attitude that you need to see from these electric bikes. They need a little bit of you factor, which they don't have right now. They're all kind of dorky and nerdy.
Yeah.
This is like, I mean, my immediate reaction is probably the same thing that everybody else has. Well, it's an electric FTR.
Yeah,
but
it has that vibe for sure. Is that so bad though?
No, the FTR's great, dude.
It's a gorgeous bike and it's fun to ride.
Yeah, so if this is anything like that, I'm sure it's going to be really fun.
Peculiar though, the bike rolls on 19-inch wheels. That's
with
a bit
the
odd.
Dirt tracker rubber.
Yeah, so quite FTR-esque.
Yeah, I think they literally are coming for the FTR. They say equally capable on paved and dirt surfaces. Okay.
They just put in the Pan America's Dirt software on it, and they're like, "Yeah, go have fun with it. It's got off-road pro mode." I'm a believer. That bike worked great off-road.
Yeah,
It really
still
does.
kind of suffering from whiplash after you were like, "Yeah, I kind of like it off-road."
No, it worked great. Yeah. I mean,
I'm
gonna be honest. When I ride a bike, I'm not gonna ride a bike that works and be like, "No, it sucks."
I am still. It's weird to me because Jochen Zeitz is or I guess they say it Jochen.
Is it Jochen?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
He's the acting CEO of Livewire because he's the CEO of Harley, and they don't have like a CEO, and they're still 70%. The key thing is Harley is still 70%, so he's still the decision maker.
Yeah.
There's no way this doesn't trickle up to Harley.
Yeah.
I really think that what they're doing with Livewire is they're going to test a bunch of styles, and they're going to test a bunch of stuff in other markets, and they're going to be like, oh, well, let's put the 975 in it and badge it and see how that does.
Would love that.
Because, imagine this with the 975.
So sweet.
80 horsepower and 70-something foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Assuming
the problem is the price though, man, because
Yes.
those are basically MT-07 numbers.
Yeah,
and the MT-07 can be had for I think it's $9,000.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I said this in my write-up of the Nightster, is that it's a great Rebel competitor if they drop the price to like $11,000.
Yeah, it's still too expensive. But
I think at 11 you can be like, it's the bar and shield.
Yeah.
You know,
at 13.5, I think they want for it, right?
They want, I think 13.5 base.
You're like, what are you doing?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
You're not giving me much for that money. So
yeah, and
I will remind you that is MT10 money.
That is MT10 money.
That's rough.
Though you can't really be like, I'm gonna get a Nightster or an MT10 because
so I think somebody's cross shop something like that. I've seen crazier stuff on our Discord server.
Yeah,
people cross shopping.
But I do really seeing stuff like this makes me excited about what's actually going on in Milwaukee, because that's as much as this Livewire news is cool. Milwaukee's what matters.
Yeah.
You know, whatever's happening with Livewire in California, whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't see this as not trickling up to Harley.
I don't either. And I really think it's just a matter of time before we get that Bronx. There's no way. Everyone clamors for it. And I know you've talked to our Harley contacts ear off about it, you know, like there's no way.
The thing that drives me nuts is you sit with these guys and they're, you know, I'm sitting there. We've been having beers for like 2 hours, and they still won't let slip. They all clam up and just smile. They're so well trained on it.
They're Japanese salarymen through and through.
Yeah,
you know?
I can't get. It's like getting blood from a stone. As soon as I hear anything, any rumbles, y'all will know.
Yeah. We would love to do a either long-term press bike Bronx, or I would love to get up one as a giveaway. Honestly, I think that would be sweet. There is no world in which that bike comes out, and I don't get it somehow. You know what I mean?
We have to have it in the shop.
I have to have it. I have to have it in the shop. I think the buzz around is just nuts. But I think that'll wrap up the news for the week. Pretty comprehensive look at some of the big ticket items, I would say. A lot of it was GP talk, because of course it is.
They're just monumental changes in the world of GP.
Pretty big shifts. But now let's move on to the It Came From Discord segment.
I'm excited about this one.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Yami Noob. And if you're joining us through the podcast, we're actually busting this out as a standalone episode if it sounds a little bit strange. We are doing It Came From Discord. We've got our Discord boys sending us our DM submissions over here for the podcast. We've asked them to submit some photos of their motorcycles and a blurb, a short blurb, please. Fingers crossed we get a short blurb today, and so we can actually roast their bikes and have some fun. If you actually want to participate, join over on yaminoob.co, become a member. You can actually sign up for our Discord server, and then you can send us sweet memes and DM your bike and have a ton of fun with us on the Yamcast. You won't regret it, I promise. It's like a bike night that never ends. Without further ado, Spite, let's take a look at some crap bikes.
Let's do it. Diving on in, we have Valley Mage up first with...
What is that? It's a 2021 CBR, a CB1000R Black Edition, my daily beater and weekend warrior. I don't know if I'd consider that a beater. That's a pretty nice bike.
This is the one that the CBR 1000 people will not shut the up.
No, they won't. They won't. Cause it's because we... Oh, nice, dude. The dog's just taking a dump in the back. I love it. That's great. Yeah, because it's the bike that we kind of just neg them on, because we never talk about it.
Nope.
We're always like, oh yeah, naked bikes, hyper naked bikes, MT10, Super Duke. There's like, what about the CB1000R? We're just like, what about it? What about it? I bet you it's a really nice bike.
Yeah, I
bet you it's perfectly fine.
I bet you it's like the Hornet, but faster.
Yeah.
And we should probably ride one of these days, just for giggles.
Could be cool.
But, I mean, it's also just... It's just a Honda.
It's just a Honda. I think a lot of people think it's the second coming of Christ, but I think it's not even the first, maybe even the half coming of Christ.
No, it's a motor and two wheels.
Yep.
What are you going to rate it?
I'm going to rate it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6
that
out of
feels
10.
Appropriate.
Yep.
Moving on to the next. God damn, we have so many. All right. Wyatt is next.
Wyatt, behold my 2012 XR 1200X. I bought it because it makes potato noises, but it isn't a cruiser and it looks freaking rad. Now, we hate to break it to him, but it is a cruiser.
Not entirely accurate.
What is this if not a cruiser?
It is... Okay, I'm out on my Harley lore when it comes to the XR, but I think that this was Buell's attempt to make like a naked Sportster. I think this was back when Buell was in it.
Buell's on this?
I think so.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that Buell was involved. And it was basically just changing the Sportster architecture to make it as sporty as possible.
Yeah,
it's making like 90 horsepower, and it's like a hammer kit on there.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
And it's got upside down forks and dual disc brakes, and the pegs are kind of in the right spot. I bet it's pretty good.
I really want to ride one of
but
these.
I think it's still a bit cruisery. I'll still never forget that XB9 that we did.
That was wild.
What a crazy bike. What a bike that the engine did not fit the character of the rest of the bike at all. At all. Handled beautifully. It was really nice.
But it revved like a dog.
Oh, it was such a dog. Such a dog. Made all of like 82 horsepower. I was like, wow, this sucks.
These things are so cool, though, because
they're pretty cool.
It's a weird facet of the Sportster line that lasted like 2 or 3 years, and then Harley was like, oh, we got to stop making this.
Yeah. And it's kind of like if you were like the best builder in the world and you made this kind of Sportster into a sport bike thing.
Yes.
It's kind of cool for that reason.
I also like that it's on 17s.
Yeah, that is neat. It would be fun if we could find one of these to do a test ride on as a standalone video. Could be cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Cool bike.
I'm gonna give it an 8 just because I like this. I like it.
All right, that's fair.
Rip City is next.
Rip City, my XSR 900 on a recent 1,700-mile trip through Nevada, Utah, and California. Oh, I love that colorway.
Yeah, that is a cool colorway. But look at all the he's got strapped to the back of this thing.
Yeah. Should have just bought a Tracer 9 at that point. Yeah, XSR. What can we say about the XSR that we haven't already said? It's a great motorcycle. You know, we recently we did that video that is going to come live later in this week as the posting of this video goes live. The XSR 900 versus Z900 RS.
Yep.
Right.
Fun video, and I mean the XSR. That engine is legendary.
It's so
freaking
good.
Great engine.
So much torque.
But unfortunately, just an XSR.
It's a little basic, bro. You know, it's a clean bike, but it's a little basic. I think since it is basic, 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Yep, middle of the road there.
Alrighty, next up we have Burger.
Burger, how original, and a second-gen SV650, slightly street fightered after a high side because I have no taste. Let's get pull that up a little bit bigger.
Yep. So I actually met Burger out at the Alley Cat Scramble, and I saw this bike in person, and not going to lie, it's a little rough around the edges.
I bet Josh looked at it and he's like, wow, this thing's nice. Yeah.
I mean, just look at all the wires that are coming up by the handlebars.
Yeah, no, it looks a little rough. But it's a second-gen SV, and I'm sure he paid next to nothing for it, and it's freaking yellow, which is cool.
I like yellow bikes.
I
I'm
do
starting
too.
to come around on it.
1098.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was so good.
1098 was awesome.
It's like Lamborghini yellow.
Yeah, I love yellow bikes too. They just pop in a way that you don't see on because not many people. I don't think there's really many yellow bikes being sold right now.
I think it's just the Aprilias.
Yeah,
really. Maybe
just more of an acid gold is what they call it. Not exactly like yellow.
It was pretty yellow.
Kind of yellow. Yeah, it have a different kind of like look to it. This is like nuclear ass like primary color yellow.
Yes.
Like yellow. I honestly I have seen much worse SBs than this. Maybe that's just because I'm in the track day scene a lot, but I have seen some busted ass SB 650s.
I'm still reminded of Josh's that had like cantaloupe sized dent in the tank.
Josh's first SB was ridiculous. I was like, how is this thing even going down the road? So this is actually pretty decent, all things considered. Honestly, I'll give it a 6.
I'll give it a 6 too.
It's not that bad.
Next up, we have Goat Roper.
Goat Roper.
Just ZX6.
Just a ZX6. Maybe he didn't put a blurb because I kind of know a little bit about it. He's a local at ECR, so he's got his kind of track prepped a little bit. Runs Q3s or Q4s, I can't remember. Got some fun mods to it. It's your absolute middle of the road track day bro bike.
There you go.
It's good enough. Works great. Nothing else you need to do to it, 5 out of 10.
It's a bell curve motorcycle. Next up is Little Viffa.
Little Viffa has a 2000 VFR 800 FI. From my starter bike after a year on 125 to my daily, over 50,000 miles on the clock like every other VFR, and I've done over half of those in the past 3 years I've had it. Badass. It's full stock, not very loud, it's not the fastest, but it's decent at everything I need it to do, and I don't think it will ever die.
It will not.
Let's see some zoom-ins on that. That's beautiful. My buddy actually had a VFR that looked just like that same generation. Could crack some freaking sweet nooners on that thing. You just ride wheelies on it constantly.
Did you hear, speaking of VFRs, that Trevor St. McGoodbody is now getting rid of his VFR?
The end times are upon us.
Yeah.
My God.
Yep.
What's he getting instead?
He's just getting rid of his bike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sad.
But,
there has been a small part of me that's like, oh, but it sounds good.
It does sound good.
good.
No, it sounds really good. If you get a pipe on those things, they sound rad.
Yeah, my SC Project, oh my God, it sounded so good.
Yeah, the startup, just that burble. It's a good engine. It's just wrapped up in a super dad bike, you know. Yeah, man, I forget sometimes that was like your like noble steed. You know what I mean? Like
I put down a lot of miles on that.
Yeah,
year I had it.
You've developed and changed a lot as a rider since the VFR days for sure.
It was mostly because of the R1 and then the adventure stuff that we've done.
Yeah,
because I rode the R1 and I was like, no, I don't need a sport bike.
This is all pointless. Yeah.
I rate this one pretty high, though.
It's super clean.
Yeah.
For 50,000 miles, I'd swear that bike has like 15. It looks great. And I love a VFR. How about, I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's nice. It looks clean, looks good.
Martin McFly.
Martin McFly. My wife's MT-03 and my R6S. Here is hers. Wait, gotta go up. Here is new. She dropped it once, but it's lowered an inch. She's 4'11". A lowered MT-3. That bike was already so goddamn low.
Yeah.
It's probably as low as the Turbo Hayabusa now. My R6 had to have the wire harness replaced. My fault, but it's my dream bike as a kid, and now I want an R1. Can't wait to hear what you say. I am curious that the MT-03 was lowered. I know 4'11" is quite short for a rider. It can be pretty challenging. But yeah, look, she's still on her tippy toes, which is pretty crazy.
Damn.
But I'm glad she's out riding it. That's awesome. But I do wonder what that did to that bike.
That is just the stereotypical R6 angle right there.
And with the vignette too.
Yep.
Y'all R6 boys do this. I don't know who dropped you on your head, but I'm just kidding.
He's on some seriously aggressive sport touring rubber too.
He knows. He's like, look, I'm not getting serious lean angles. I'm out here just ripping this thing around. This is that generation of R6 that, in my opinion, is a little awkward, because you have the kind of early gens, and then you have this one that was kind of like, what was this? It kind of like the upswept handlebars a little bit, and then they had the 08 plus, like kind of waspy, the second or third gen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this is kind of like the awkward gen for the R6.
The waspy one is the one to get.
That's the one. They look great.
I would even have it over the like new R bike style.
I would
ones.
too. I think that one just looks freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, he's got the Yamaha family. He's also got the little Z bike there too. Love to see it. Keeping it in the Yamaha family, which for me, got to rate it high. I'll give it a 7.
I'll give it like a 6.
Right.
Just to be contrarian.
Yes.
Space Boop.
Space Boop. Good username. I have a 2019 Yamaha MT-09 with about 6,000 miles on the clock. Very torquey and would be a blast with some TKC 80s or something.
Okay.
Interesting. You're not the first MT-09 boy to venture off-road. We had a guy on our server a while back who was like, I took it down a fire road. I'm like, you're a maniac. Why would you do that?
Just for giggles?
Yeah, but it's funny because when we did the MT-09 giveaway and I had been away from that platform for a while, I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe. Because you sit really upright on them. You know? I was kind of like, I'll do a fire road with it. Why not?
You could also stand on it really. You can stand on the Z900 really comfortably.
Yeah, you can.
So just throw some light knobs on it and call it a day.
Call it a day. Just don't take it down anything that actually needs some suspension travel.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be kind of like
So how are we going to rate?
I think for the quote, for wanting to put TKC 80s on it, I'll give it a 7 because I like that. If it was anything else, I'd be like, that's a bit basic, but
Next up, we've got Vince 82.
Vince 82 says, this is Minion, a 2020 V-Strom 1050 XT. People say that the V-Strom is a bike that does everything well but nothing perfect and that it is boring. I say that is not true. It does sport touring pretty damn close to perfect, and it's a 1,000cc twin with over 100 horsepower. How the F is that boring? Off-road, it goes down gravel roads fine, but not much more. For where I live in Canada, where half the roads are gravel, but you can go there in a Civic, this is pretty close to perfect. Not all bikes are perfect everywhere, but this is perfect here. Plus, the bike warranty the steel in Hamamatsu. Nice. V-Strom 1050 XT. I honestly think this is a pretty sharp-looking little motorcycle, I gotta say. I think it is a little bit boring, but big V-twin, that's kind of cool. It's kind of like the Ducati Multistrada you have at home in some ways. The old school multis with the twins. It's value priced to Suzuki. It'll run forever. I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. I think they're pretty cool bikes.
I think it's fine.
I think it's all right, yeah.
Get a KLR.
This is not... What?
Get a KLR.
Why would he want a KLR? That would be such a downgrade. This has a real engine in it. It's got 2 cylinders.
Despite my misgivings, the V-Strom is a good motorcycle.
Yeah.
It is a good motorcycle, and I got to give it to Suzuki.
Yeah. I think the XT and kind of adventure boy pretendings that it has is a bit silly. Because, yeah, I mean, any motorcycle will go down a gravel road, so it's kind of weird to be like, oh, yeah, this bike does gravel. I'm like, well, my Turbo Hayabusa will do gravel. So it's like, what do you want? Just manage the throttle. It's fine. So, yeah, it's clean. It's new. I'll give it a 6.5.
A 6.5.
Yep.
Feels appropriate. Full Metal Corgi.
Full Metal Corgi. Bike update. The KZ EV conversion. It's part KZ, or part AliExpress and part 07 YZF. And all electrical with peak power of 60-ish kilowatts and 300 foot-pounds of torque. I basically made a Ninja 400 without gears. Still about 20% left to go. Now, I love that the batteries look like they're just giant Energizer bars.
Yup.
That looks super jank.
I'm not gonna ride that, dude. You can keep it.
Yeah, I would never ride this thing.
Imagine like you're riding it and then it starts raining.
Oh God. For me personally, I would fear death just putting it to charge. I feel like I'd be like, is it gonna just blow up when I'm just away from it and burn my whole house down?
Or you like plug it in and all the lights dim.
It's praying to some electrical god. Yeah, the home built electrical stuff's pretty wild. I've seen quite a few of these builds. To do it to a KZ, I think a lot of purists would cry sacrilege for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think it's fun. It's kind of wonky, Mm-hmm. This guy also has a Turbo Hayabusa, so I got to rate him high. Got to rate him high. I love that. I love that it's almost done. It's coming together. I wonder what he's going to do for the gas tank and seat situation. Well, maybe he's just going to put the old gas tank on just to have the shape kind of make sense.
Yeah, and then it's just
for there. Show for there. Yeah, because otherwise you just have a big divot in the middle. Mm-hmm. That'll feel weird to ride. I'm going to give it a 8 for effort, but maybe a 6 for execution because it looks kind of crazy. But not that I could do any better. I would certainly build something even worse.
I'd give it a 4 just because I would fear being in the same room as it.
Honestly, yeah.
I feel like it would just, like massive lightning bolt would come out and shock me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see what it looks like when it's done.
Yeah. Send us a video of it riding when it's done.
Next up, we have Satsui.
Satsui. I'm a dirt boy now. This is my KTM 250 XCFW. Dude, awesome. This is my first full-size dirt bike, and good Lord, I should have gotten one sooner. Really nice first gear for the trails, and a tall 6th gear for the street. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Message to all the street-only squids, get a dirt bike. They're so much fun. Yes, they are. That
Absolutely.
is a good-looking XCFW. This is the trail version of my bike, actually. I have a 250 SX, which is the motocross. So this actually has 6 gears, a non-dinner plate size sprocket, and a throttle response that doesn't feel like it's going to frickin' kill you.
A little bit more normal, you might say.
Yeah. Interesting that you said that 6 gears good for cruising and stuff, because I am not seeing much in the way of street accommodations for this thing. So you may be riding it dirty.
Might be riding it dirty, or it might just not be needed in where they live. Because apparently you can get away with that stuff in a lot of states.
Really?
Yeah, apparently some like podunk states.
Man.
Where, you can...
I feel like here in Texas, if I were to ride my 250 just down here, I'd get pulled over immediately.
Yeah, but this is also Austin. There are places where you barter with a banjo, sheep, and threats, and I think around there you'd probably be fine to ride this on the street.
That's true. Yeah. Love that we have a Dirt Boy Convert. What is that blue bike over there in the background?
It's a Triumph.
Daytona. My man, my guy. He's got a Triumph, got a dirt bike. He's speaking my language. You got a Daytona and a KTM dirt bike. That's the same setup I got. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. This guy gets a 10.
It'd be street illegal after I put the lights back on. So
interesting. Took them off. Okay. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, that is a lot of fun. Nothing like a lightweight little dirt bike to rip around on and do trails on. You're going to learn so much. Really nice little bike.
Next up, we've got Oyster Cracker 4.
Oyster Cracker 2022 Rebel 500. Rode for 2 months and 99.9% sure I have someone coming to take it off my hands tomorrow for my payoff. I sure hope so because I have a deposit on a new XSR 900 that I'm unapologetically simping over. Estimated delivery in July. Let's take a look at this bad boy.
That is a sportstered out Rebel right there.
That is definitely a sportstered out Rebel and kind of like an Indian Scout Rebel with the leather tan bags and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curious little machine. I bet the Rebel 500 is much like all the other 500s. It's probably like, okay, all right.
I would imagine in the Rebel, it's more acceptable because it's a cruiser.
Okay.
That engine was unacceptable in the R, but they changed the cam timing. They changed the sprockets.
The Rebel
and
is
stuff on
lighter,
there.
isn't it?
It's definitely lighter.
Because the CBR 500 is ridiculous. It's like 415 pounds or something.
It's heavy.
This is inexcusable.
Yeah. So that motorcycle.
Here I go again about the CBR.
It's a bad motorcycle, and no one should buy it.
Nope. And it costs like $8,000.
Yeah, the Rebel has gotten a lot of people on motorcycles, specifically this new generation of Rebels.
The 300 and the 500, man, Honda just prints those out. It's insane. I don't love the bags. I got to say, I think it looks a little awkward, but I guess storage is storage, you know?
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to give it like a 5.5.
I think that's fair. Unfortunately, it's still just a Rebel.
Yeah.
Which is the least rebellious motorcycle on the road.
It's true.
Next up, we have Arrowhead 87.
Arrowhead 87 says, this is my 2020 Kawasaki KLX 250 Camo. Have had almost 2 years now and no regrets. Looking to upgrade soon to something more street-oriented, but will definitely be keeping this beauty. P.S. Michael Cera wants his mustache back. Nice. Mine will grow thicker than Michael's, don't you worry. Just needs time. It's only been 2.5 weeks. Give me some time, guys.
Wherever he's at looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks freaking sweet. Probably looks maybe somewhere out west, California, hills or something like that. Looks like a lot of fun. Your KLR is camo, isn't it? Or is it not?
It's the digital camo? Cypher camo. It's not really camouflaged.
Okay. Because that, I think, is the same colorway on the 250. I would love to try one of those out. I still have yet to ride one of those.
I actually almost bought, before I got the DRZ, I almost bought a 250 Sumo.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like this close, but somebody bought it out from under me, and then I ended up with the DRZ that I ended up with.
What a journey that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bike you don't miss.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that thing is gone.
You never talk about it or even daydream about it, yeah.
Nope. I still see pictures of it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I had that DRZ for a while, huh?
Yeah.
KLX. I mean,
KLX 250 camo. Bike. That's a good bike. Dual Sport boys. Rejoice. Stand up. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
7.
Yeah.
MT Ness is next.
MT Ness. Here is my new to me 08 WR250R. Yes, it's beat up, but that's okay because it's ready for me to absolutely abuse. It was born in a fire, and there it shall live. Some mods: black Mamba front headlight, pro taper bars, pivot pegs, FMF exhaust, 3-gallon gas tank. That's a great mod.
Yes.
And lastly, clapped black plastics. Let me see the headlight on that bad boy.
This is the ugliest headlight I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it looks like a Bionicle.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you put that headlight on there and you think it's cool. That is a ugly headlight.
Yeah, the stock headlight looks fine. Why would you do that? You literally made it look like a Bionicle. Yeah. It looks really goofy.
This literally looks like my DRZ when I first bought it.
Yeah, it looks a little rough, but hey, it's a WR.
That's what they're supposed to look like.
That's what they're supposed to work on. That's what they're supposed to do. Those things are awesome, and they're literally unkillable. And the valve clearance checks are like every 22,000 miles.
26.
Is it 26?
I'm pretty sure it's 26,000.
That's insane.
Yep.
That is insane. He said,
Cool.
bought it that way. I'll make sure I loop it in a parking lot. Nice. That's what you're meant to do with it. Yeah, I would give this one, I think this one gets a 4 out of 10.
A 4 out of 10.
But it gets an honorary 9 out of 10 for being a fun little dual sport. Because everyone should have one of these.
Yes.
Not a WR, but something like this, you know?
Everybody needs a dual sport in their life.
Yes.
I think we have time for one more.
All right.
Is there a name in there that you recognize and want to check out, or do we just want to go with who's next in line?
Let's just get the next guy in line.
That is California 556, squeezing it in at the last.
California says, I ride the Honda, and my roommate, whose middle name is Kyle, rides the Kawasaki. And he says, looks good to me. I can't really tell what that is. It's got the twin pipes, and it's a CR, so it's definitely some off-road Honda.
Yeah, it's CRF something or other.
Yeah, it's some competition spec Honda, because they only put the twin pipes on those.
And then the
KLX. But that's also a motocross bike, I think. I don't know.
Don't they call those? Don't they run those as KLXs?
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Cool. Can't really see it, but yeah, cool to see dirt bikes, I guess.
Yep. A lot of dirt bikes today, which
makes me happy. A lot of
happy.
dirt bikes. That is happy to see it. Yeah. I hope we've imbued some of you street squids to ride off-road. And I hope you've enjoyed this. It came from Discord. Thanks so much for the Discord boys for sending us in. We are sorry we could not get to everyone. We had to keep this nice and tight on time. There's many other people. We'll be sure to take a look at it, maybe respond on the Discord as well. But now let's move on to the comment roast.
This is going to be fun.
I'm excited about this one. Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the final section of the Yamcast. We are doing the comment roast. We're going to be looking at some YouTube comments provided to us by our Discord members. From all kinds of different YouTube videos that we've posted. These could be from new uploads, old uploads. These are just funny comments that people have found.
Yes.
So do we know which videos they came from or not really?
No, these are just they're gonna be coming out of the ether. I thought it might be fun to figure out like if we can
This is great.
Pin what video.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times with these comments, you're like, oh, I know exactly what video that came from.
Yes. All right, let's get started.
All right, so starting us off, we have this one here from Bo.
So Bo found this comment over here. He says, "That's your off-road? Jesus Christ, I've seen my dad on a Honda Silverwing go over significantly tougher terrain." This is like, y'all need new material. Like
You really do.
This is ridiculous, guys. Like we're like, I'm sure this was on like the Pan Am and Husky video where like we literally went to an off-road park and like went on trails and did all this stuff and they're like, it's not hard enough. Like, guys, we're not Poltares and the GoPro flattens everything out. It's not going to look crazy on video. It never does. Every hill climb I've ever done, when I watch it back, I'm like, wow, that doesn't look like shit. But I was there in person and my bike was going upwards, you know?
Also, like, that video, you didn't see the, like, half an hour it took to get the Pan Am out of that ravine.
Yeah.
I mean, that was tough.
It was tough.
Really hard.
Yeah. But every time, there's always someone with a bathtub on skateboard wheels going down single track. So they're just so skilled. So skilled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly, bring your dad out to Austin, and we'll take him to Hidden Falls Adventure Park on his Silverwing. I want to see how he does.
Yeah.
I want to see how he does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So next up, we have... Oh, my God.
Oh, boy. All right.
This is a dissertation. Here we go.
Chancey Boy has provided us this comment. This guy says, I ride a 1330cc Can-Am F3 Limited Spider, 115 horsepower, 96 pounds. I guess foot-pounds. I call it what Can-Am calls it, a roadster. I ride for multi-day camping, hiking, touring, not for coffee shops or barbecue joint meetups. It's not for show. I ride alone, so no cosplay accessories or group approval required. I can ride anything I want, and I do. Feels good. Only folks who are negative, motorcycle riders primarily, but HD riders. Why? Because of a thing called, wait for it, insecurity. Old-fashioned, small pee-pee, look at me, loud pipe for miles, insecurity. I 3-finger down every time just so they know they saw me wave and they didn't burn them up. And they didn't burns them up. Haha, grow up kids. The fact that this guy waves with 3 fingers instead of 2.
Yeah. Oh. No.
By the way, it's not for the pure handicapped or the feeble, and it's not a training rig for two-wheeled motorcycle. That is the worst idea ever. Better to practice on a bicycle. Trust me, I ride BMWs to Cowies to mountain bikes, and they are not inverted trikes. So we have a
butthurt trike boy.
We have a butthurt trike boy, a trike apologist. I can't stand these things. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a motorcycle purist, but I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
It's not that like I'm a small-brained or I'm insecure. I'm just genuinely curious, like, what is the point? You have all of the like negatives of a car and a motorcycle.
Yes.
And none of the fun of either.
Yeah.
So what's the deal?
You hit every pothole in the road. You don't have air conditioning. You can't lean over.
What's the point?
They're slow. They sound like ass.
Yeah, they are slow. Like, I know he says like 115 horsepower, but it probably weighs like 1,000+ pounds.
I mean, the Riker that was in the video, I think it was like 500 pounds or something like that.
That's it?
It was like 500 pounds, but it's all plastic. The whole thing is like
crazy
plastic.
That it's only with 3 wheels. It's only 500 pounds.
It might have been like 550, maybe 600. They're not that heavy.
I'm impressed. I'm honestly impressed.
But it was only making like 80. Like it was MTO7
it's
power.
Not gonna go fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry we upset you, my man. Yeah. Wasn't the intention. I'm genuinely just curious as to why people ride these things.
I think this is a first, though. Mark this moment. That was the first video we talked about the Can-Ams, and this is the first butthurt Can-Am boy.
We should find one and ride one for the day, and just be like, we're gonna see how it does.
Yeah,
you know,
that would actually be really cool. Next up, we have this whole... I love these, the comment lines.
Yeah. So Full Metal Corgi, he actually screenshotted his own comment. He says, buy a Turbo Busa and bypass being a noob altogether. And then some guy said, skill, brother. And then Full Metal Corgi said, outrun skill. And some guy said, buy that junk? Turbo Busa is still trash compared to a Kawasaki H2R. And then Corgi said, hey, don't be mad at me that your mom said there was a Turbo Busa at home. Yeah, man, you can't, I don't know, like, the guys who get in the comments and, like, Spec Sheet Warrior compare a Turbo Busa to an H2R, you've missed the point, my man. The Turbo Busa is a legendary, iconic meme bike.
Yes.
The H2R is some, like, you know, like what a 12-year-old would pick in a video game. It's the fastest bike.
It's a try-hard motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like, I got the fastest thing. It's like, okay, cool.
I'll still drive the Turbo Busa.
I want it's a different feeling when
Yeah.
when boost spools. I haven't ridden that thing like a month and a half. I really want to get it out on the road just to warp my brain again.
Yup. Realize what speed really is.
Yeah, I've been riding my Husky so much, and then the CRF today. I need to ride a fast bike again.
Next up, we have this from Ill Bald.
Ill Bald, this guy says, pretty terrible advice telling noobs to just go full throttle at the apex just because World Superbike riders do it. The traction control system they use come in an electronics package that is $15,000 plus, so no, do not go full throttle at the apex. And then some guy said, nah, definitely do it. You'll be all right. Yeah, this is probably on my video where I told people how to go fast on track. And I disclaimed in that video that it wasn't really for noob riders. It was for guys who had already been at the track quite a bit and were having trouble going faster. And I gave some tips on how to go faster. And guess what? When you open the throttle sooner and hold it for longer, you go faster. That's kind of what I was saying. You want to be wide open at the throttle, obviously, at the apex. Obviously, I'm not saying for like someone who has very little track experience to tip it at the apex and just go boom. That's not going to work out well for you.
No.
But if you're on an appropriate motorcycle like a 400 and SV650, you can definitely wide open it a lot more than you think.
Well, I think the saying is it's not the person who's wide open the longest. It's the person who gets there first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then your
drive is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're wide open longer, you've gone slower.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going like that, yeah, you should be going like that. You know.
So yeah, I also just love these, just the sarcastic, sardonic responses.
Just you'll be all right. Just send it.
Next up, we've got Oyster Cracker.
Oyster Cracker here. I think this was from Discord. Someone just said, anyone know the top speed? And screenshotted the Honda CRF 300L. And then said, never mind, Google is my friend. Wow.
Okay. So I gotta say something here. And
I know what you're gonna say. Say it.
Dude, just fucking Google it. Like if you have that question, just type it into Google. You already typed it into something. Just type it into Google.
Type it into the right place.
There are so many questions, and I don't want to sound like asshole.
Yeah.
But there are so many questions that if you just Googled it, you'd have the answer. Because like it might take us, some time to recognize that it's on Discord. And if you want the answer, just Google it. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if you want our opinion about like which feels better at speed, sure.
Yeah, I like the questions that are opinion based because you obviously can't go to Google for that. But yeah, like people, I don't know. I've seen questions like, "Oh, like is this price for this bike like a good deal or something?" I'm like, I don't know, just Google it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the MSRP? Like, what's it look like there? Or like, what's what wheel size comes on this bike? And I'm like, just the spec sheet's out there somewhere.
Because 9 times out of 10, I have to Google it to give you the answer. And I'm not.
We get paid to Google things for people at this point.
I'm not scared to admit that there's facts about motorcycles I don't know. And
shocker! No, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! You're not some encyclopedic. Someone the other day, I met them in person. They were like, "It's amazing you do those list videos, and you just like just say all that stuff." And I was like, "Do you think that I just like?" say all of that from like my brain first try?
Oh my God.
I'm like, what? Dude. I'm like, we have like hours of research dedicated to those videos and it comes out in a nice script. That's how it happens.
Imagine, like, that's some, if you could use 100% of your brain shit right there.
Yeah. Also, everyone knows that the top speed for every single motorcycle is 186 miles per hour.
Yes. They're just limited to 186.
Every bike does 186. We all know that. Come on.
That should just be the answer.
Yeah. Also, one more thing about top speed. One more thing. I'm sorry. It's so kind of stupid to worry about top speed.
Yes.
Why are you concerned? Why are you concerned? Why are you looking up like if a ZX6 does 178 or if a R6 does 172? You're never going to go that fast. You're never... why? Who cares?
Also, I guess there's probably this theory that, like, when you wind it out, you get to that top, like,
there faster.
Yeah, you get to top speed fast. But the thing is, once you get to, like, you're in sixth gear and you're just winding it out, there's a lot of time, even on a leader bike, where you're just like, okay, I'm at 186, I'm at 187, 188,
And think about how long you've spent at that speed.
Yeah.
Where in a normal place are you going to be holding it wide open going 186 miles an hour for more than a second?
You go 88 feet per second at 60 miles an hour, I think.
Yeah, so you basically cover a football field a second and going 200, basically. Yes. That's nuts, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've ran the Turbo Busa, and you basically just, like, kiss that speed, and then it just breaks. It's just like, stop! Oh, my God! Do I have enough runway to stop?
Yeah, that you're calculating braking distance, not like runway.
Yeah.
So,
hey, some people live a different life. They're doing 186 miles per hour on a CRF 300. That's like triple its top speed. I was riding it today, and I was doing like 68 on Mopac, and I was like, ugh, I don't like this.
I genuinely thought I was gonna catch you on the Harley.
I thought you were too.
Like 5 minutes.
I thought you'd catch me too. Honestly, I was like, I'm not going very fast.
Good times.
And I know on the Harley you're a ham-fisted idiot. So
I ride the Harley like a squid.
Like a dumbass.
It is so much fun. I love that bike, dude.
You're gonna get one, man. It's just a matter of time.
Next up we have Shippers here.
Shippers here, and I actually know who commented this because I hearted it. And it was Tube. Tube said, I got a Meteor 350 as a first bike, but it's just got way too much power, so I traded it in for an R6.
I could tell this was a Tube one.
Tube always does this. And I know Tube's name, and I see him pop up, and he's a legendary user. And maybe one day just and giggles. Maybe we'll invite him back into the server just to see what happens.
We need a little bit more chaos in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll bring you back in, Tube. Maybe someday.
Gotta love that. Like, even removed from the server, he still just has this influence.
He's still Meteor 350 memes all day. We gotta buy at some point, maybe later this year, a new shop bike.
I think it's the Hawk.
I think it's the Hawk too. It's so value priced. It's like $1,800.
We could get two Hawks and do.
We could do unspeakable things to it, like truly torture test to it, which would be fun.
But I just love the idea of the build series.
Yeah,
like where you get one and I get one, and we just like. How could we do like horrible, terrible stuff?
I would love to like we do this thing where like we like hold the clutch in, right? We put it in first. You zip tie the throttle open and just let it free
and see what happens.
Just see what it does.
That is just mean.
It is mean, but it's a freaking Amazon bike. Who cares? Could be fun.
Okay, so next up we've got another brick.
All right. Stankanooner here with this comment. This person says, 1 month into riding, I was learning on my dad's big Harley. I had dirt biked since I was young, and after some good parking lot practice on my dad's bike, I decided to hit the road. First sharp corner, I low-sided at 80 miles per hour with the helmet being my only gear. Oof.
Youch.
I broke 2 ribs and dislocated my shoulder. The helmet was cracked in half. 2 months of recovery. I bought my own Indian Scout. It's an experience I learned from and haven't dropped the bike since. At gat and 2 wheels down, my friends. And then that guy says, yo, your pop's a Harley. Brutal. Kind of crazy and kind of bold to do parking lot stuff and be like, I'm going to this corner at 80 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get up to those speeds. Honestly,
I still remember the first time I went through like a corner that was sort of weird on a bike. I was like, it leaned way the far. It was one of those things where you panic and stand it right back up.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the feeling of it like dipping. I was like, whoa. I was like, what the f***? I was like, I'm going to fall off this thing.
Yeah.
And then you have to trust that you're not going to do that.
Yep.
But
it scared out of me.
Yeah. But But this is bold to just send it at 80 miles per hour in low side, only wearing a helmet. Also, helmet was cracked in half. What helmet were you wearing?
Predator helmet, dude.
What helmet cracks in half on a low side?
Yeah.
I not. On my legendary crash that everyone knows, I flew 25 feet in the air. I landed on the top of my head with my awry. It was intact. 25 feet in the air, I landed on top of my head. That helmet did not crack.
That's unbelievable, frankly.
That's why I wear an awry no matter what.
Yeah. Next up, we have... Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. Yes, Steel Father here with an angry one. I can already tell it's angry. I can't wait to read this. All right, here we go, folks. No, Honda did not make the worst bike ever. Anyone who thinks so should get stuck on one. It's an unreliable, badly aged little thing out of Russia from back in the day. Other than its 200 cc's, I couldn't read a damn thing about it, including that name, and it was never really right, even though I'm not bad at improvising and I have a few machinists as friends, so parts can be manufactured to spec on the spot for a price. What is this guy talking about?
This has to be the Rebel.
No, Honda did not make the worst bike ever. Anyone who thinks so should get stuck on one. Okay,
this has to be the Rebel.
Keep reading this. After a year, at a loss I'm not proud of, I finally gave up on it ever being in tune more than to the greater degree and sold it to the first person who squealed delightedly and offered me money for the Curio. The brakes were drums front and rear and from Russia. They had all the stopping power of soft cheese. The carburetor was overcomplicated and even with the best filters on from the planet, found new and mind-boggling ways to jam or clog. In spite of the new dynamo installed by a certified electronics engineer, the spark was dull orange at best and took 3 of us tinkering for 2 days to get it even to tight enough to start and run reliably. And to top it all, the goddamn kickstart could only fit on the shaft one way and it was about 10 degrees wrong for actually being able to kick the son of a bitch. When you suffer about a 40% misfire, no start but backfires rate, do you have any idea how rough it was trying to start a 200cc motorcycle with your hand in the 90-degree summers in Virginia Beach, so about 110% humidity? That was the worst motorcycle ever built, unless the Russians found a new genius method to make something even worse. I have a thing for curiosities even today, but I will never own another one of those, and I still kind of feel bad about selling it instead of just crushing and grinding it into little itty-bitty pieces. Honda's reliable, and frankly, other than that detail, as long as you're on 2 wheels, I think you've got a cool bike. The 84-85 Rebel 250 was my first bike, so I admit a soft spot for them, haha. I even talked to my brother into one as his first bike, though a different year and not carried home in buckets the way mine was, and he loves her too. Little smiley face. So apparently this guy was upset that I think you called the Rebel 250 the worst bike ever or something like that. We must have called it, this is clearly about the Rebel.
Yeah, no, I was very unhappy with the Rebel. My experience on the Rebel was very
poor.
Very poor.
Yeah. But he apparently has some Russian motorcycle that barely even seems like a functioning object.
Yeah.
Which is unfair to compare it against, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the point where you're buying anything from, like, Soviet-era Russia, are you really shocked?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, like, the Urals are... Even the Urals nowadays, which are still just Soviet stuff, they're still trash.
Jank. They're still jank. Yeah. They're not very good. But there was a very detailed comment, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I feel like it's either like retirees or people who are unemployed because I'm just like, how on earth did you have time to write all this on some random YouTube video? Insane.
With all the like dots and stuff.
I know. The dots and the smiley face at the end really outs the age. Probably a retiree.
I think this is going to be the last one here.
All right, Z-Fang here. Last one. I don't know if someone who buys a Mopar truck can make any real statements on the bad decisions other people make. If I wanted a transmission that dies after 80K, I'd just get an Aprilia. Clearly a dig at me for owning a Ram 1500, because I mentioned it in the Cars as Bikes video. I mean, it's funny, because I literally just bought the thing because it was like really nice inside and has air suspension. That was my only criteria. And apparently... it upsets a lot of people that it's a Ram. I'm like, dude, I don't care. It's a useful truck.
Yeah, there's one. So my girlfriend watches a lot of TikToks, and there's one TikTok that genuinely makes me laugh. And it's like, it's a picture of a bunch of like fancy looking dogs.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's my father drives, or my dad drives a BMW. Well, my father drives an Aston Martin. My papa drives a Rolls Royce. My dad drives a Ram 1500.
Yeah, I could see that. That's funny. Yeah, they get a bad rap, but I've had nothing but good things with that truck.
Except for the service thing that you went through.
That was that stupid dealership. That wasn't the truck's fault. Those idiots didn't know how to do an oil change, which was ridiculous. I went back 3 times. I was like, "Can someone screw this on correctly? I'll go and show you how to do it if that's what it takes." Good God, it was getting out of control. I was like, "How do you this up?"
Yeah,
so
I know.
much?
I saw the oil puddle when you left, and I was like, "Dude, that's like a lot of oil."
Yeah, that's like immediately take to dealership oil, but she's all good now. It's a brand new truck under warranty, so it doesn't matter what happens with it. But that's going to wrap up the comments roast for this week, folks. Thanks so much for sending us your comments from YouTube that you've sourced for us to make fun of. As always, if you've got a comment that you don't like us or whatever, leave it in this video, and maybe you'll make it in the next comment roast. With that, we're going to wrap up the Yamcast. Remember, if you've made it to the end of a Yamcast, you will love being on our Discord server. Please join down below at yammynoob.co. It's a great way to support what we do if you love the show and all that. And also, I think we should ask you guys to leave a little review on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. We're trying to increase the audio portion of this podcast to be of a fun level and get a little bit higher up in the rankings so that we can be kind of up there in the echelon of motorcycle podcasts, because we think we kind of deserve it. We think we make a pretty good product around here. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Keep watching